Do you spend more time thinking about the dream or executing the dream? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I am Coulter Reed. I am here to help you get the day-to-day out of the way so that you can transition from chasing the dream to living the dream. And that's what I want to talk about. It is a deep question, but it's something that we don't spend enough time thinking about, or at least not enough time working on. And I think that's kind of sad. And we'll talk a little bit about why that happens. But first, talking about that question, that deep question. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? So, after I graduated from college, I moved down to Colorado Springs for a bit. And I was at a networking event of sorts. And the icebreaker question one day was just this. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you want to live? And as we're going around the room, people are answering, people are giving their answers like, oh, I want to live on a beach in Tahiti, or in a penthouse in Manhattan overlooking Central Park, or I want to live in a cabin up in the mountains by a lake. And as people are going around, saying where they want to live, everyone else is just kind of like, yeah, ooh, that's good. I'm right there. Oh, me too. Going through all these. Hey, Paul, thanks for showing up. And and we finally get around to me, and it's my turn. I think about it for a second. I said, if I could live anywhere in the world, I would want to live somewhere on the Colorado Front Range, in between Colorado Springs and Fort Collins, somewhere in there. And there was just dead silence. Nobody quite knew how to respond to that. Finally, somebody who was kind of behind me leaned up and tapped me on the shoulder and said, no, dude, the question is, where do you want to live, not where do you live? And it got some chuckles, And so I thought, okay, I can't let this go past. There's a reason I answered the question this way. I can't let this go past. And so I just kind of turned back to him and said, loud enough so that everyone who had chuckled could hear. Just told him, hey, some of us spend our lives chasing the dream. Some of us spend our lives living the dream. Simple as that. So Paul says, yeah, I want to live on the coast in Ireland. Very nice. The coast is wonderful. Of the coast. Why Ireland? Why specifically Ireland? Curious. And Livestream Pro says, yes, I love where I live. Best spot in the U.S. That's great. I'm glad that you are living there, because then kind of the follow-up question is, well, if you're not living there, or if you're living someplace that's not where you want to live, why are you living there? Why aren't you living where you want to live? And there's a reason for that, and it has to do with just momentum. We get going in a certain direction. We never take the time to step back and reassess where we are and where we're going, and basically life starts to get in the way. I just last week I got this question from a reader, and it hits home. It really hits hard. It really hits at the heart of the matter, and my heart goes out to her. Okay, she said, I have the desire and energy to work toward my goals, but the distractions are aplenty. Laundry that has to be done, food that I have to cook, people I have to please, the basics of adulting that leave one exhausted. How do I turn off the distractions? Does that sound familiar or what? I mean, my heart goes out to her, because I know that rat race. I know that endless chase where we start getting busy, we start seeing a little bit of success, and we start equating how busy we are with how successful we are going to be. And so busyness starts to become an end in its own right. We're not being busy to achieve anything anymore. We're just being busy because it makes us feel important. We start racing around from one crisis to the next, just putting out fire after fire because we feel important. We feel like we are doing something valuable. And all we're doing is we're just running ourselves ragged. And the sad thing is, eventually we can start to set the fires ourselves. Whether it's intentional or not, whether we realize we're doing it or not. Something else that happened while I was in Colorado during the wildfire season. A fire broke out not too far from Denver. It was up in the foothills, but it was still close enough to Denver that they were concerned that depending on how long the fire burned and what direction the winds were blowing, it might reach the outskirts of Denver. And that didn't happen. They got it under control. Everything was fine. But as they started to investigate the cause of the fire, they found something very disturbing. The fire had been set by a Forest Service employee. I don't remember if it was a he or she. So I'm going to have a hard time using the correct pronouns here. But they wanted to, they staged the scene so that they could discover this campfire that had been left unattended and was starting to become a problem so that they could swoop in and put it out and save the day and be a hero. And if we're not careful, we can end up doing the same things at work because we get used to that thrill, that sense of urgency, the adrenaline that comes with doing things at the last minute. How many times have you heard someone say that, oh, I don't work ahead of time because I do my best work when I'm under pressure? Well, no, you don't. Very few of us do our best work when we're under pressure. If that's true, it's because that's when you do all of your work under pressure. So yeah, you're doing your best work under pressure. You're doing your worst work under pressure too. And the work you're doing probably isn't as good as it could be if you would give yourself more time to work on it. Okay, we have developed this notion that busyness is some sort of a status symbol. Busyness is the end unto itself. And we forget that we are trying to be busy to achieve something, to accomplish something. And that busyness is not the natural state that we're supposed to be in. Busyness is something that comes and goes. Yet we push on something for a period to accomplish something, to achieve something, to get from point A to point B a little bit more quickly. But that's not the natural state that we want to live in. So Paul says, I think Ireland for me, natural beauty. I have not been to Ireland. I've been to England. I've flown over Ireland. The Emerald Isle for sure. Yeah, happy to make you think nice and early in the morning, Paul. You've made me think at sunrise. So, yeah, making you think so early in the morning. I know. Originally, I was going to do this at 9 o'clock, but then I realized that nope, I've got to be in Santa Cruz for a vaccine at 10 o'clock. That's not going to give me enough time. I needed to move it up. So, yeah, nice and early in the morning. Great way to start your day. Thanks for being here. And Kelly, thanks for showing up. So, we're busy. We want to have more time. How do we get more time to start working on living the dream? How do we get there? Well, there's two basic ways that we do this. We either have to find the time or we have to fund the time. So finding the time. That might be, depending on your situation, that might be the easy one, that might be the hard one. It goes either way. So you're familiar with the Eisenhower Matrix, the 4 quadrants. Stephen Covey talked about this a lot, where you break everything down into either something that is important. So I can get my fingers around this right. Okay, so you have things that are important, things that are not important, and things that are urgent. I'm doing this in reversed video, so it's a little unintuitive. Or things that are urgent and things that are not urgent. Okay? And a lot of people, get stuck in quadrant 1. That's the urgent things, that's the important things, that's the putting out fires. And they get so stuck on putting out fires that they never take the time to step back and ask themselves why so many fires are breaking out in the first place. Okay? The more time we spend in Quadrant 2, the faster we are going to start living the dream instead of chasing the dream. But how do we get there? Well, for most of us, the easiest way to start is in Quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 is the quadrant of escape. It is the quadrant of goofing off. It is where we go when we are trying to just get away from everything. We're overwhelmed. We don't want to face what we have to do, and so we go hide out in Quadrant 4. That's the first place to start looking for time, looking to recover time, to get it back. Quadrant 3 is the quadrant of interruption and distraction. This is, the things that need to be done. They don't all need to be done. But these are the things that need to be done, but we don't have any filters on. So this is what happens when you try to work with your email app open. You're constantly getting interrupted and dinged, especially if you're working from your email as a to-do list, because this is a to-do list that you have opened up to the world, and you have given everybody permission to start adding things to your to-do list. Okay? When you're trying to get work done, close your email. Check your email. See what you need to do. Close your email. Get work done. The way you get out of Quadrant 3 is you start looking to how you can eliminate, automate, and delegate the tasks they're keeping you in Quadrant 3. Ask yourself if things really do need to be done. If they don't, just stop doing it. If you're not sure, see what happens if you stop doing it. There have been jobs before where a significant portion of my time was generating reports that nobody read. And so I went around and asked the people who received these reports how useful they were, found out that, nope, they don't read them. They wouldn't miss them if I stopped doing it. In fact, they'd appreciate it because then that's one less email that they had to process. And so I stopped doing it, and that freed up a couple of hours a week because something was being done out of momentum rather than an actual current need for it. Once you've eliminated what you can, automate everything that you can. There are multiple ways we can do that, and I can go into that on another stream. Eliminate, automate, and delegate. Some delegation is not about assigning a task to someone who works for you. It's about making sure that the task is on the right person. You might not be the best person to do some of these tasks, or maybe you can ask somebody else to do these. And we'll circle back to this in just a minute when I start talking about how to fund some time instead of finding it. Quadrant 1, the way we get out of Quadrant 1 is when we put out a crisis, do a little bit of after-action triage. Figure out, why did the crisis develop? What could we have done differently so that the crisis hadn't developed? That would have kept this from becoming a crisis. And what could we do differently next time so that this never becomes a crisis again? If you've read or watched Ender's Game, Orson Scott Card, that's the lesson from Ender's Game for me, is that once you solve the problem, solve it once and for all so that you never have to solve it again. And that will go a long way towards keeping you out of Quadrant 1. And so then you're left with Quadrant 2. And the more time that you can spend in Quadrant 2 thinking about the way that you work, I've heard people describe this as working on your business, not working in your business. But stepping back and looking at how you do the things that you do, looking a little bit further out, making sure that you're heading in the right direction, making sure that you are taking your life in a direction that where you will reach your dreams. Where Paul will be able to get that cottage on the Irish coast, surrounded by all that natural beauty and people with awesome accents and really cool sweaters. I'd probably go a little bit further east, get over onto the Scottish side of things, where they have bagpipes and haggis that they stab. But just making it, but even not so far out as where you want to take your life. Just, what is happening over the next month, over the next 2 weeks, over the next week? What do I need to do today in order to prepare myself so that tomorrow is that much better, that much more awesome, that much easier to do? The more time we can spend in Quadrant 2, then the more time we'll have to live our dreams and start enjoying life now, rather than at some arbitrary future date. Let's see. Margaret. Hi, Margaret. Thank you for joining me. I want to live near family, wherever it is they are. I understand that, and I fully support that decision. For those of you who are wondering, yes, the last name Reed there is not a coincidence. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. Callie asks, would you suggest actualizing quick goals first and then working on longer projects / goals, or vice versa? A lot of that comes down to the specifics of what the goals are, and what the wins are going to be, how much energy the quick goals are taking from you. I will say that over the course of the day, I am a big fan of knocking out a couple quick, small, and easy tasks to just to build some momentum for the day before you start on the big tasks that you have to do. So taking that principle back so that we're looking at the goals level. Work on them at the same time. You should have three goals that you're actively working towards at any one time. Any more than that, and you're not going to be focused enough to actually make any progress towards the goals that you're working on. You're going to spread yourself too thin. Any less than that, you may be making progress on the one goal, but it can start to make that goal feel a little bit much like work because you're so focused on that. And studies have shown that you actually perform better if you have 2 or 3 different goals that you're working on. Sometimes those goals will overlap. I wouldn't recommend more than 2 of those goals overlapping. For example, 2 of the goals that I'm working on are shooting 90, which is improving my golf game so I can shoot 90 on a full-size par 72 course. And I want to play 12 new courses in 12 months. So those can go together because I go and play a new course, the second goal, and I'm still practicing, still getting better at my golf game, still scoring to assess how I'm coming on the first goal of shooting 90. So those are 2 goals that do work well together, but I wouldn't want to do a third goal that was all focused around golf. The third goal that I'm working on right now, the third goal I'm working on right now is developing a course, which is completely different. It's not a physical goal. It's a more of an intellectual goal. It also works well to have goals that are staggered at different lengths. So that if you're working on a goal, a longer project or goal that's going to take you 6 months to do, or 12 months, 18 months to accomplish, you should absolutely mix in some shorter term goals that you can accomplish in 1 or 2 months, just so that you have the more visible progress and the readier successes of knocking out those shorter goals as you go, rather than just having this big long goal that you're working on for multiple years, perhaps. Graduating from college, for example, is a common long-term goal. And you should absolutely have shorter goals mixed in there that you're working on while you're working on graduating from college. So, do both. The way that you're going to make progress on those is making sure that you're scheduling tasks every day that are working you towards those goals, getting closer to them. And if you just do one thing or 2 things or 3 things a day, you can do all 3 of your big critical tasks for the day, working towards your goals, something that is going to change your life, then you're going to make good progress. It may not sound like much. You're just doing even just doing one thing a day over the course of a year. That's 250 to 365 things, depending on whether it's just work days or every day. It adds up. So, Paul says, "Oh, I like the idea of doing post-crisis triage. It makes such a difference because then, then that time you spend in Quadrant 1 makes it a little bit more productive because you're not having to. It's not time that you're wasting because I have to put out this fire rather than working on my goals. But it's a learning opportunity. To me, it also gets back to they say that failure isn't fatal until it's final. Failure is just learning. And asking those questions afterwards to figure out how the Quadrant 1 crisis developed and figuring out what you can do differently next time to avoid going into Quadrant 1, huge difference. Huge difference." Deal, Paul. We actually have a can of tinned haggis in the cupboard. I picked it up in case we couldn't figure out to do for an actual haggis for Burns night. We ended up just doing some sausage. We're kind of afraid to open the tinned haggis. I'll be honest. Okay, so we talked about freeing up time to work towards your goals by finding time that we're wasting. Let's talk about funding time a little bit. This is kind of this is the other way you find it. And depending on where you are in life, this will be easier or harder for you to do, just like finding time. The example I like to use here is I do not like Sorry, I saw Paul's comment come in. Yes, a can of haggis. I will figure out how to get you a picture of it. So far, it's contained. We have not had a haggis breach yet. I do not like stopping to put gas in the car. It's nothing about the actual mechanics of pulling into the gas station and putting the petrol in the tank. It's just it's scheduling the time, figuring out when I'm going to do it. I find that very stressful because when do you notice that you need gas? It's when you get in the car to go someplace and you turn the car on, all of your gauges come online, and I'm down to a quarter of a tank. I should go. I need to stop and get gas, but not right now. I have to get to work. I have, I have a meeting. I have to go grocery shopping and then pick my kids up from school. We always get in the car on our way to go someplace because we never leave 10 minutes earlier like we should. And so, I'll get in the car and, that's right, I'm down to a quarter of a tank. I need gas. Can I stop now? No, I need to get to work now. So tonight, on my way home, I'll stop and get gas. And then in the evening, what happens? It's the end of the day. I'm tired. I don't want to stop by the gas station. I just want to get home. And so I don't want to stop and get gas. And I make the problem even worse for myself because I used to drive a couple miles out of my way to go to Costco to get gas because it was 25 cents a gallon cheaper than the gas if I just stopped along the route on the way home. It was 25 cents a gallon cheaper. And so I was adding 15 minutes to my drive home to go swing by Costco to get gas. And that's just the actual driving time. If I had to wait in line at Costco to get gas, it would be even more expensive in terms of time. But I would go to Costco, which was at least 15 minutes out of my way, to save 25 cents a gallon on gas. Now, let's do the math on that real quick. If I'm spending 15 minutes per week, that's an hour a month to save 25 cents a gallon, put maybe 10 gallons in the tank at a time. That's $2.50. Over the course of a month, that's $10. So I am spending an hour of my time to save $10. And that's an hour that I could be at home relaxing and enjoying my kids. Yeah, that. Once I started to view the trade-off that way, it wasn't worth it anymore. In fact, we took it a step further, and about 2 years ago, we signed up for a gasoline delivery service, so that now we don't even have to go to the gas station to get gas. Once a week, somebody comes by in the wee small hours of the morning before we're even awake, and they deliver gas for us. And it's absolutely beautiful. I realize that this sounds like a completely hedonistic and luxurious thing to do, but it has completely eliminated that stress of figuring out where I want to. Sorry, I just read one of the comments. You just put words in my mouth. It's completely eliminated the stress of figuring out when I am going to go get gas. It's wonderful. I'm actually reading a book right now, Time Smart by Ashley Whillans, where I have to laugh. She's talking about this exact same concept, and she uses the exact same example of driving out of your way to save a few cents on gas. She ended up at a different conclusion of what to do. She decided that, out of everything that she does in her life, the thing that is the most stressful for her was commuting and just sitting in traffic, staring at somebody's bumper, instead of doing something that she would rather be doing, looking for parking spaces. She just decided no, she didn't want to do it. So she priced it out and figured out that it would cost her $600 a month to just take Uber to work and not worry about driving at all. And she spent another $15 a month on a premium music subscription so that she could listen to all of the music that she wants without ads. And so for $615 is what it would cost. But then she decided to just get rid of her car. So instead of a car payment and car insurance and maintenance and gas for the car, that was over $500 a month. So it was really only costing her maybe $100 a month to have somebody else drive her to work so that she could sit there and just listen to, just discover music. And she enjoys doing that so much better. There are other ways we can do this. There's so many services now where, for a few bucks, you can trade back some time. A friend of ours here, as soon as the Safeway here started offering grocery delivery services, she jumped on that, and she says that she is never going back. It costs $5 or $10 per delivery, and it means that she puts the kids down for nap time. She jumps on the computer, places her order in just a few minutes, and then for $5 or $10, they drop off the groceries. Compared to dragging all of the kids around Safeway, that $5 or $10, totally worth it to her. That's something that she is very glad that she can do that. She is happy to spend that $5 or $10 to buy back that time that she would have to spend dragging her kids around Safeway. She is happier. Honestly, the kids are probably happier too. Grocery delivery services. Paul says, grocery delivery is the best. We did a couple of grocery deliveries back as things were starting to lock down for COVID, and then they got overwhelmed. They could not hire people fast enough to keep up with the demand. But it's absolutely brilliant. The one thing that we're a little nervous about doing produce, letting somebody else pick out our produce. So I'm curious to know what your experience with people buying produce for you is. Or maybe you just don't eat vegetables, Paul. Sparkle Rise Thrive. Hi, Sparkle. Thanks for showing up. I want a gas delivery service. Yeah, there are three of them. We're with Yoshi. I'm drawing a blank on the names of the other two. Google gas delivery, your area. There are a couple places. Off the top of my head, I know that Nashville has one or two of them. But if there's one available in your area, Do. It's absolutely fantastic. We pay a membership fee that is like $16 a month, or you can do. I need to switch it over to the $160 a year because then you're paying for 10 months and get 2 months free. I need to switch that over, but yeah, it's like $16 a month, and then when they bring gas by, you pay the cheapest rate of any gas station within a 2-mile radius, and we are just inside of the 2-mile radius of a little mom and pop gas station in San Jose that charges ridiculously cheap for their gas. So we get ridiculously cheap gas. It's seriously like 50 cents a gallon cheaper than the gas station down the street. So it's a wonderful, wonderful service. I and like I said, I was a little nervous about trying it out because I thought, oh, it's so hedonistic, so luxurious to do. But, somebody else has got a job providing this service for me. And given the amount of stress that it takes out of my life, it's worth a few bucks. Try it out if you can. Nicole. Hi, sweetie. Yes, I know where you want to live. I know exactly the house that you're talking about. It's a very nice house. You can see it from Pebble Beach. You can see Pebble Beach from there. Paul almost ran out of gas at Starbucks yesterday. I've been there. I've done that. Not actually run out of gas, but I've been sitting in drive-through lines with the light on, the Get Gas Now light. So definitely know that. Sparkle, you're out in Minneapolis, I assume, if I'm filling in the letters there. You never know. You never know what markets they're starting off in, what markets they pick for testing out new services. And there are new services coming online all the time. If there is anything that is, step back and look at your life, look at your schedule, look at the things that you do that cause you stress, that make you unhappy, that just you do not look forward to doing, and find ways to turn those over to somebody else. HelloFresh, they rather than just delivering groceries, they can also do meal planning for you. So you can just say, you just pick from the menu and say, yep, I want this, 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 and this. And then they deliver you the groceries you need for that meal, so that you still have the joy and the catharsis of preparing the meal, but you haven't had to worry about the grocery shopping or the delivery. So if that's how you want to try to optimize it. If you want to just, a few taps and have food show up ready to eat, DoorDash, Uber Eats. There are services that will do that. You can outsource things through outfits like Fiverr or TaskRabbit. Home Advisor is another interesting one. Yelp, you can do the same thing. Where if there's a project you want to do, like we redid some sidewalks last year, and we just put out we wrote the proposal once and set it out there, and then 5 contractors contacted us to put in their bids. Wonderful time saving. So there are all kinds of ways that you can start saving time like this. May cost you a few bucks, but time is money. They're interchangeable, and whichever one we have more of is the one that we try to optimize for. But we have a slight bias here. We tend to our default way of thinking, for some reason, most of us default to thinking that money is a fixed resource that is limited and we will never get more of. But we have all the time in the world. There's this constant flow of new time coming. And so we would rather save money and spend more time doing things. And if you step back and keep the bigger picture in mind, then we start to see that it's actually just the opposite. And it's time that is constrained and limited. And it's it's money that we can always earn more of. So, last takeaway. Yeah. Need to live life in abundance rather than scarcity. That's so true for so many areas. So many areas of life. There's more than enough pie to go around. If you take anything away from this, it's just that understand that living the dream is not a step function. So many times we have this mentality of, okay, I'm going to be busy now. I'm going to sweat. I'm going to work it out. I'm going to put in the reps for now, and then at some future point, then I will start to live the dream. Once I've graduated from college, once I've got that good first job, once I've gotten married, once we've got that forever home, once the kids are in college, once we're retired, then we'll start living the dream. We keep putting it off. We keep waiting for some future date where everything will magically change and we'll suddenly be able to switch from dreaming and chasing the dream to suddenly living the dream. Like we just flip on a light switch or we walk through a door and everything will just magically change. But that's not how we reach the dream. The way we reach the dream is we find a toehold. We find something that we can do today to start living the dream. And and then build on that. Find one thing, build on it. That's the beauty of spending time in Quadrant 2. The more time you spend in Quadrant 2, the less time you will get pulled into the other quadrants. And so you can spend more time in Quadrant 2 and more time there. And that frees up time so that we can spend more of our life living the way that we want to and working to building, our life, working on our dreams. Greg McEwen in Essentialism says that, if you're not working on your dreams, someone else will be more than happy to put you to work working on theirs. So if we're going to work, we may as well work on our dreams and help others with their dreams along the way. You can have anything you want in this life if you're willing to help enough other people get the things that they want. Living the dream is not a step function. It's something that you can and should start doing now, and it gradually expands as you free up time. So if you have enjoyed this video, share it. It's just a click away. If you have thought of somebody else who needs to hear this, or who you think might like to hear it, share it with them. They will enjoy the fact that you were thinking of them. If you're watching this on Facebook, like the video and the page to get notified of new videos. On YouTube, like the video, hit subscribe, ring the bell. Don't miss another video to help you get the day-to-day out of the way so that you can transition from chasing the dream to living the dream. If you've caught me live, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you're catching this on the replay, go Team Replay. Good to see you too. I'm Colter Reed. Thanks for watching.